All right, here we go. It is round one. Democrats set to roll the dice tonight in Vegas, baby Vegas. 5 Democratic candidates on the stage for the very first time, but one question hanging over this. How will Republican frontrunner Donald Trump try and steal the show? Now we have our answer. Good morning. I'm Bill Hemmer. Welcome here to America's Newsroom.
Hello there, Bill Hemmer. Good morning, everybody. I'm Martha McCallum. So, Donald Trump is already predicting that tonight's showdown, he says, is going to be a real snooze fest. Watch this.
I think it's not going to be very well rated because Trump isn't in the debate. I'm only kidding. I think it's not going to be highly rated. I think it's going to be, you're going to watch it for 10 or 15 minutes. People are going to get bored and turn it off.
But Trump will get his say. He's going to send out his plans to live tweet during the Democratic event saying, quote, at the request of many, and even though I expect it to be very boring for 2 hours, I will be covering the Democrat debate live on Twitter, Bill.
Can't make it up. Fox team coverage now. Digital Polish editor Chris Starwell is here, and Byron, you are chief political correspondent for Washington Examiner and a Fox News contributor. Byron, let me start with you right now. At least
Bill.
You know Trump will be watching tonight.
Yeah, first of all, remember, Trump claimed credit for the huge audiences that watched the Fox debate and the CNN debate for the Republican presidential race. So tonight, the question is, how does he stay in the story? We know he loves Twitter. He has 4.4 million Twitter followers. He has said that using Twitter is like owning the New York Times without the losses. So he views this as a way to reach millions of people at zero cost, and he can be a very effective user of it.
In the mean, CNN's downplaying the audience for this, or at least the expectation. And Anderson Cooper, one of the main hosts, talks about he's uncomfortable with the notion of pitting each other against one another. I don't know. How's this going to go?
You know, it seems like there's a double standard here. Before the CNN Republican debate, CNN said it wanted to pit the candidates against each other in what they called actually debating. And before this debate, Anderson Cooper, who will moderate this one, says he doesn't like that sort of face-off because these are serious people. They want to talk about the issues and have a serious debate. So CNN is actually signaling that it's going to handle this Democratic debate in a different way than it handled the Republican debate.
We'll see how it turns out. More on that in a moment. Marco Rubio was meeting in Las Vegas. Sheldon Adelson, casino owner, makes a lot of money. Apparently, Adelson is about, perhaps, to put his money and his support behind Marco Rubio. Now, what would that mean, Byron?
Well, it would be huge. Emphasis on about and perhaps, because we don't really know this. The big story here, of course, is that Marco Rubio didn't raise a whole lot of money in the last quarter. He only raised $6 million, not as good as some of the other candidates. Sheldon Adelson, a huge donor, kind of single-handedly kept Newt Gingrich in the race 4 years ago. A very, very coveted endorsement. He has a couple of really huge issues for him. One is Israel. He's a very big supporter. The other is, as a casino owner, he's opposed to internet gambling. I think Rubio is probably simpatico with Adelson on both of those issues. And if Adelson did endorse Rubio, still a really big if right now. Right. That'd be a huge boost for him.
I mean, some of these guys, they need a sugar daddy, and he could be one. Trump was all over this news. He tweeted this. Sheldon Adelson is looking to give big dollars to Rubio because he feels he can mold him into his perfect little puppet. I agree, exclamation point. Trump doesn't miss a beat.
You know, this is something that a lot of Trump audiences have responded very positively to when he says Trump, is so rich that he doesn't have to beg for anybody else's money. Just yesterday at the No Labels event in New Hampshire, he was saying the other candidates, the other Republican candidates are, quote, puppets because they're begging big donors for money. So this has been a recurring theme and a really successful one for Trump so far.
Thank you, Byron. Byron York leading our coverage
Thank you,
there.
Bill.
Analysis from Washington, D.C. Thank you. Martha.
So the main event tonight, 5 Democratic contenders facing off, but one potential candidate still noticeably absent from this picture, and CNN apparently wants him on that stage. Jim Avila tweeting this morning, an extra podium is waiting in the wings just in case Vice President Joe Biden decides to jump into this race sometime today. But with Vice President Joe Biden sitting on the sidelines for now and showing absolutely no indication that he will be using that bubble-wrapped podium anytime soon, frontrunner Hillary Clinton zeroing in on Donald Trump.
We're here together in solidarity to organize. We also want to send a message to Mr. Trump that if you are going to run for president, then you should represent all the people of the United States.
That was a fascinating moment yesterday. Chris Direwalt, Fox News digital politics editor. Chris, I want to ask you about that first, actually, because she got off the plane. She went straight to this union event. She used the words organize and solidarity several times each, just in case they didn't know where she stood on this topic. What's she trying to do, and how does this set up what we'll hear from her tonight?
I would imagine she is trying to pick her general election opponent. I would imagine that she knows that, well, she must know that she runs worse than Joe Biden and now, in some cases, Bernie Sanders against the Republican field. But the two candidates who she has done best against, even though she doesn't always beat them, in these prospective head-to-head matchups are Donald Trump and Jeb Bush, who both have negatives that are almost as high that are about as high as hers. The three of them exist in a sort of unpopularity club with the general electorate. I would imagine she is trying to pick her winner for the Republican side that she would want to face Donald Trump in the general election. So you call attention to him, you brand him as a negative, and you say to your supporters, an existential threat exists. There is this boogeyman, there is this devil over here, and you've got to join with me against him. Yeah.
Donald Trump, of course, says the whole thing's going to be a snooze fest. We will see if that is true. So much talk about Joe Biden. I mean, I thought he said a long time ago that he was going to skip the first debate. I'm not sure why there's all this anticipation about whether or not he would get in. And he seems to, the longer he stays out, Chris, the better he seems to fare in the polls.
Well, the bubble wrap that's on that podium also seems to be the right metaphor for Hillary Clinton in this debate. They've got a liberal anchor. They have a music act, an oldies music act from the Clinton era in Sheryl Crow. They have a dedication to not have the candidates fight with each other as they did for the Republican side when that was their whole purpose, was getting the Republicans to attack each other. And this time it seems like it's bubble wrap for Clinton, who there is going to be protected. Now, whether or not one of these bottom tier guys treats this as a moment, whether Martin O'Malley decides that he's going to make a last gasp for relevancy, or whether Jim Webb wakes up and gets in there, but that somebody would say something or do something to Hillary Clinton, that threat exists. But really, who she's debating is Barack Obama and Joe Biden. She's debating those guys and whether or not she can get to the left of Biden so that Obama couldn't thwart her efforts should Biden eventually decide to get in the race.
That seems to be where the real debate exists right now between the administration and Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton. It is fascinating. Chris, thank you very much.
You bet.
You may not know this is the first of 6 debates for Democrats. Some critics have questioned why there are only 6. Republicans have 11. And now a DNC official says she was actually disinvited from the event tonight for saying the party should have more debates. DNC Vice Chair Tulsi Gabbard, screen right, says Chairwoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz, screen left, withdrew her invite after she called for more debates in a television interview.
Could this possibly be the case? Did they really disinvite you because of this?
Aloha, Chris. It's good to talk to you. The answer is yes, plain and simple.
How do you know that?
I was actually on your network. I was on MSNBC speaking with Steve on Meet the Press Daily. The very next day, I landed after a red-eye flight from Hawaii back to D.C. And landed to a message saying that Debbie Wasserman Schultz's chief of staff had called mine and said we saw her on MSNBC. And basically, I'm paraphrasing, but if she continues this, then we really don't think she should be at the debate.
A spokeswoman for the DNC says Gabbard was not uninvited or disinvited, but was asked to keep the focus on the candidates during interviews for the debate in Vegas. Listening to that story, it's kind of a little, not so sure.
Well, after tonight, I guess they'll see if they, how many debates they're going to need, and how interesting it is watching somebody who's so far ahead with these. These other folks are going to have to put themselves on the map in some way, shape, or form to make more than 6 necessary at this point. And of course, if Joe Biden gets in, they may have to add to those. So we shall see.
It'll be interesting, no doubt.